I was blessed to travel around the world from a very young age. I was raised a Catholic child, and I ended up in a boarding school, a Jewish boarding school, so I was exposed to Judaism. But since these people are not interested in pulling you into their stuff, I just knew a lot of stuff, but, nobody asked me to, and I didn't think I was interested. I became interested with Hinduism at some point. I learned a lot of things, and it was good. It was an excellent experience. At some point, I became interested in Islam. I learned Arabic, studied the Quran, could recite a large part of it. But it became very clear to me that my biggest interest was the political stand of the Nation of Islam. That's what my heart responded to. Because later, for example, when I was in Nigeria, in the north, in Kano, 90% of the people around me were Muslims. I didn't find any attraction to Islam. And especially, I want to be part of no structure that wants to impose itself. And Islam has imposed itself in Black Africa. So at that point, not interested. I do not care what you do with yourself. It's your job to be you. What he does with himself is his job to be himself. I have respect for whatever people do, but I don't want to be part of it. Fondasyon Marie-Claire Heureuse Félicité Bonheur Dessalines. Quite a name, that first lady of Haiti. And we gave the Fondation a short version we call Fondasyon Felicitee. After studying Empress Félicité of Haiti, who was born Marie-Claire Heureuse Félicité Bonheur, we were so impressed with this woman, with what she accomplished, and the purpose that she set in her life. In that time, the practice was, if your husband is a captain in the army, they call the wife the captain. If the husband is general, they call the wife la générale. So people were very proud. Women were proud to be called that way. She said, no, don't call me that. There's only one military person in our family, that's Jean-Jacques. Woman is very clear on her mission. Education, health, and justice. We find her doing exactly that, teaching people how to read and write, healing people with natural plants. And anytime she was present and something was not treated justly, she will stand up. Even if it was the emperor himself, if the emperor said something publicly that was not correct, she would stand up and say, forgive me, Majesty. But our Constitution, our Imperial Constitution, says in Article 22, ta 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 ta. And the emperor would go, well, what I meant to say is, and he would correct himself. So obviously, this woman stood for justice everywhere, in every situation. Our mission, work to find all the elements that can rebuild our identity, because actually our people across the planet, because of slavery, because of colonization, because of imposition, because of domination, because of conditioning, continuing, going to your enemy's school, you become an enemy of yourself. We're going to work at identifying the elements that will rebuild our identity, do all we can to spread it across the planet to all of our people. And as we will regain our identity, we will also regain our power. This is what Fondasyon Felicitee works. We have 6 axes that we work on. One of the elements is celebrating life. If we look at the history books of all children of Africa across the planet, in all of our histories, which are generally the template is made by our enemies, all of our archeries celebrate the dead, the day of our death. Nobody knows when Dessalines is born, but everybody celebrates Dessalines on the day he was assassinated. How can you celebrate an assassination? Nobody talks about when Toussaint was born, but everybody celebrates Toussaint on the day he was killed in France. So we have brought a correction there. Fondasyon Felicitee made the research, find out the dates that these people were born, and then we celebrate them on the day of their birth. So it's September 20th for Dessalines, it's May 20th for Toussaint Louverture. We also celebrate May 19th, Malcolm X. We also celebrate Nkrumah on September 20th. So we, all of our people who have contributed to us being here with the improved state that we are. It's not the best, but it is certainly an improved state from full-fledged slavery and full-fledged colonization. But we're very much aware colonization has not stopped. We are being colonized on different levels. There is a poem by Lester Wilt. He talks about all of our artistry. And he concludes by saying, minute after minute, hour after hour, as you lose the knowledge of your artistry, you lose your power. And we do believe that is true. We do believe that it is through artistry that we can regain ourselves. The artistry is the backbone of a people. And when they mess up with your artistry, they mess up with your mind. And you are duty bound to go back and search the right narrative that will help you to rebuild yourself again. And it's been done a number of times. In fact, a vital element in the Haitian Revolution is because our people were able to, in full-fledged slavery, do what had to be done to rebuild themselves. In fact, one of the most fascinating things for me is when I discovered that Jean-Jacques Dessalines was raised by this woman, Toya, who came from Dahomey, who was in the military in Dahomey. And the first thing he went about teaching this child was the history of the great kings of Dahomey. So the child grew up knowing Black power, knowing what does that mean when you're running your own country, your own people's life. And so it was not natural for him that he would say liberty or death, freedom or death, that it's not worth being alive in this situation. So that made him fearless. And of course, we can understand that people don't like him. People on the other side, of course. And since they make the schools for us, they make us not like him too. So we have to do the work to get back to the facts, and that will rebuild us. So that's what Fondasyon Felicitee does. We celebrate dates that are important for us. In the Haitian calendar is, in fact, a Christian calendar. Nothing to do with us. We need to celebrate those dates in our artistry. The great moments, things that prove our power. Even in slavery, we were powerful. And to succeed, what enabled us to succeed in the revolution was the fact that the Haitian created three things. One, our own cosmic worldview. We do. Two, our own language to express things our own way. And once you do those two, then the third is action. If your mind has a perception of your own, you have your language of your own, then your actions will be your own actions. And that's what enabled us to beat the Spanish army, beat the British army, beat the French army, and become Haiti.